Hi, my name is Sima Robbins, and I'm directing a play that's going to be produced on June 5th at the Baby Grand. We're here tonight because the play is a very unique play being produced by a very excellent organization in Delaware called the Delaware Center for Justice. This is the 88th annual meeting for the Delaware Center for Justice, and as part of its public education outreach, we're going to be producing the play, The Exonerated, which is written by a couple, Jessica Blank and Eric Jensen, who traveled the United States in the year of 2000 to find people and interview them, people who are exonerated after being convicted of crimes they did not commit and sentenced to death row. All of the characters in the play tell their story. They're provocative, riveting stories. They're sad, they're filled with humanity. It's an amazing play. And the characters, because everything they say is true, the characters are all the more compelling to watch. Court transcripts were used in writing this play, actual interviews, as I said, so everything is based on truth. And it's sort of a harrowing thing to think about, especially today, when the Supreme Court just came down with its ruling today, that they feel that the death penalty protocol of 3 injections is indeed constitutional, does not break the 8th Amendment, that it is not cruel and unusual punishment. Maybe after hearing this play, people may want to think about that a little more. And I'd like to introduce some of the characters who are here tonight. I don't have my whole cast here tonight, I wish I did. But I do have 4, and they can tell you a little about the characters that they'll be portraying at this June 5th presentation, which is, as I said, is at the Baby Grand at 8 o'clock in the evening. Jim? This is Jim.
Hi.
Shanahan.
Hi. My character's name is Gary Gauger, and he was wrongfully convicted of murdering both his parents in a very savage way. And it turned out that he was exonerated after it was revealed through some wiretapping that was going on an unrelated case that his parents had actually been killed by a gang as a rite of initiation. And it was just amazing to me to read the story of this person who was basically pretty much tried and convicted within a couple hours of the murders of his parents, which he had absolutely, obviously nothing to do with. And like all the other characters in this play, ended up spending a considerable amount of time in prison. And it's just amazing to read and to be able to play these characters, and this character in particular, and to try to experience a little bit of what it was like for that person to go through that. It's just a very powerful, emotional play, I think, because of its reality, and it's harrowing to see what happens and how the system, if you will, the justice system can just totally grab people's lives and just basically destroy them without any merit whatsoever. It's an amazing play.
Manon?
My name is Manon Matthews-Neal, and the character that I play is Georgia Hayes. My husband is Robert Hayes, and it's played by Omar Rashada, and he'll talk a little bit more about his character. But mostly I'm in a supporting role. I'm married to a man that has been convicted of a crime that he did not do. And later, like all of the characters in the play, the people in the play have been later exonerated. But I just am more in a supporting role, and I guess I provide more of a relief because the material in the play is very heavy. So there's a little comedy relief from my character. And there's a few other smaller roles that I play, such as a judge or a state prosecutor. But I think the meatier roles are played by my fellow cast members here, and they're more interesting.
You know, it is interesting when you hear some of the minor roles. Sometimes they're not actually minor roles, but roles that aren't on the stage. There's no minor role, only minor actresses, right? But when you hear some of the transcript information from the court trials themselves, you realize when you're listening to the defender speaking, the prosecutor speaking, when you're listening to the judge overruling something that's said that obviously should not be overruled, and you realize this is not fiction. This is all from court transcripts, and it's sometimes hair-raising.
My name is Brian Couch. I'll be reading the part of Carrie Max Cook, who was imprisoned for 22 years, and I believe some of the longest of any of the people in the Exonerated. He was falsely convicted of murdering a woman in Texas, and he spent 22 years on death row. Also in the process, part of his conviction was based upon being falsely accused of being homosexual as well. I think that's another interesting part of the character. My personal story with the character is I witnessed, or I was actually attended a production of the Exonerated in San Francisco, and I was able to see Robin Williams read the part of Carrie Max Cook, and that was probably back 2003, 2004 time frame. So when the opportunity came up to do this, I was very intrigued and of reading the same part that he did. And it's a very interesting story that he has. There are lots of family elements, things that he missed. In fact, he had a brother who was murdered, and it was in relation, there was nothing he could do about it on death row, and it's a very interesting story that Carrie presents in the play.
Omar?
Okay, well, good evening to the Upper Room Ministry. I'd like to thank you for having the cast here from the Exonerated. I actually play a character of Robert E. Hayes, and this here is my wife.
Georgia Hayes.
No, but Robert he's an African-American male in his young 30s, and he was put in prison for the rape and killing of a particular female who worked at the racetrack. Robert was a groomsman at the racetrack, and he was in prison for 7.5 years. And pretty much a hair sample that his lawyer was able to find pretty much got him out of prison. But he has a southern accent. He's from Mississippi, and so playing a southern accent for me is a challenge, but I love it. It's the first time I had to play a role as such. And one thing I love about the play is it's universal in terms of male-female culture, in terms of African-American, Caucasian, and also as age. You see people ranging from 30 on up. So just come out June 5th and see this wonderful play. It's real. It's based on real-life stories. And the Baby Grand is an excellent theater. You're going to enjoy it. So just come on out June 5th, Thursday night, 7 p.m.
I can tell you how to get tickets. There is limited seating. The Baby Grand only holds 300 seats, and we know the tickets will go quickly. But if you're interested in attending, please call 658-7174, extension 10, and ask them about attending the Exonerated on June 5th. Thanks.